Hello, I'm Frances Dipper and I'm a marine biologist stranded inland in Cambridgeshire. But what I do have is a wonderful pond, and I'm hoping today to take you round my pond, show you some of the things that live in it and some of the things that live around it. So first of all, what do I need? I need some equipment in order to take you down below the surface and show you what's there. So I will show you what I need. A pair of wellies, a white tray and a net. The pond, as you can see, is quite large. It attracts all sorts of wildlife, moorhens, toads, newts, frogs and even grass snakes. And this morning I saw a thrush catching worms along the damp mud at the edge. There's also a lot of plants around it, and some of those have flowers that attract the bees. So I have bees, butterflies, and at night time the bats fly around catching the insects. So my catch this morning was quite good. I was really pleased. I got out a lot of weed, which is where a lot of the invertebrates hide. And I hope you can see, if I just use my trusty spoon to move the weed aside, that hidden away amongst the weeds and reeds of my pond are dragons. But instead of breathing fire, they breathe in the water. And this is actually a nymph, or a juvenile stage of a dragonfly. They live for about 3 years under the water, and during that time they feed on all the little insects, other insects, larvae and little worms and whatever they can catch, basically. He's quite still at the moment because he doesn't really like being out in the pond, out of the pond I should say. Let's see if we can make him walk a little. I don't want to disturb him too much. There we are. At least that shows that he's alive and well. He's going to stay there, as I say, for about 3 years, and then he'll crawl out onto a stem, crawl up the stem into the air, dry out a bit, and then eventually his skin will split, and over a few hours the adult's going to emerge. We call them nymphs instead of larvae because they grow gradually, whereas a larva, like a butterfly larva, i.e. a caterpillar, undergoes a sudden metamorphosis and changes quickly. This is another nymph, not a larva, and this time we're looking at, instead of a dragonfly, a damselfly. So a much finer, slimmer animal, and this one has 3 tails shaped rather like a goose's feather. And right next to him you can see one of these little worms I was talking about, and that's actually the larva of a biting midge. And these make great food for all sorts of animals in the pond. There he comes, back again. And then just down here was my other find of the morning, which, if I can find him, there we go, is the larva, the tadpole of a newt. So it's a newt pole. There he is, and if you look really carefully you might be able to see his gills, because he has gills to begin with, and of course when he comes out of the water he's going to turn into an adult. Those gills are going to be absorbed and his legs will grow. There are plenty of other things in the pond as well, and I don't know how many of these you can see, because there's one going across. All sorts of larvae, more difficult to identify and better put under a microscope, or even a magnifying glass will help hugely. But perhaps you can see all the little tiny moving dots in the water, and those are things like water fleas, Daphnia, and little other crustaceans, and also some beetles, little swimming beetles. I had hoped to get a water boatman, but I don't think I managed that today. Yes, I did. There he is, a little tiny one. Some of these are called upside down swimmers because they swim on their back. and some species swim on their front. And there's the moorhen. She doesn't come out very much at the moment. She's sitting on her nest, keeping her eggs warm. Just comes out for the occasional feed. And I'm so glad we saw her, and I hope you've enjoyed your visit to my wildlife pond as much as I do. Goodbye.